What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can...
All right, Conference USA.
Oh,
Gotta talk about the group of fives.
I'll
start the-
love.
I'll start this one out, man, and you're gonna see this across the board. Only one person had a change. Only one person had a change, and it wasn't me. So I agree with the majority. So I mean,
it's going to be Sora.
Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, man, they lost. They lost two great weapons in the draft, but you know they've maintained a lot of their team as well. TJ Finley transfers over. You know, to fill in for Austin. Yeah, to fill in for Austin Reed. He's kind of been a journeyman. I know he was at Texas State. He was at Auburn.
I want to say this.
And
That's a
LSU.
quarterback battle right now. From what
LSU?
From what I've been reading, that's a quarterback battle.
Ain't no damn quarterback battle. TJ Finley's going to be their starter.
Will he though? Yes, but I'm just saying.
They always say that TJ Finley's going to be their starter.
I'm about to butcher this last name. 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝘂𝘀𝗀. Fudge.
Yeah, what's that kid's name? Hold on.
Well, he played in their bowl game and won versus Old Dominion in overtime. He won 40 for 52, 383 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Gosh, that offense is exciting.
Kaidon
𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀. He is making a.
But you're not going to pass up TJ Finley, who's played in the SEC twice.
Yeah, being a Power 5 starter.
I'm just saying, it's from what they were saying and what I've been reading, they were saying it's a battle. I believe Finley's going to be the starter, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a few mistakes. They're going to give Kaidon the shot for a game.
They might.
That's what I want to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't Western Kentucky play Alabama to start out the gate?
They do, week 1.
They do.
And then they got to play Liberty and Jacksonville State. I know that at the end of the season. So might as well just go ahead and get over to Liberty. Kaidonsalter was one of the best quarterbacks in the country last year, statistically. The only thing that stopped them from having an undefeated season, a couple things, but most importantly, Oregon came in and stomped the dog crap out of them. But they got a couple new pass catchers on that offense, and you know, if you know anything about Liberty, they've been lighting it up they've pretty much been the best team in the state of Virginia in the last 5 years. I mean, it started with the Malik Willis train that had happened.
Yeah.
So they're still trying to get.
That one hurt. I was one of those people on the Malik Willis train.
I know you were. I know you were.
That hurt.
So you get Hugh Freeze that left, of course. We all know that happened. And then Jamie Chadwell has been there. Is going to be their 10th head coach in program history as of 2002, and he's been there doing his thing for Liberty and led them to damn near an undefeated season last year. What they're doing, moving up to the FBS, is just they're going to continue their prowess. And if they continue this run that they've been on, it's crazy that they're the best team in Virginia. I mean, Virginia Tech is there, and I had said this before. Hopefully, hopefully something happens where they turn their program around. But man, I just don't know. And I think Jamie Chadwell has got the cojones to do it as well. Now remember, this dude was the head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach for Coastal Carolina with our boy Grayson McCall as well. So he knows a little thing about quarterbacks. And Kaidonsalter is looking it's like the next coming of that dual threat quarterback that I think, in his couple years with Liberty has had a better arm than Grayson McCall in a lot of aspects. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Jamie Chadwell still does with them. And, I think this was a good investment. He's going to find himself into another job unless he just decides to stay at Liberty for whatever reason. But yeah, man, give me Liberty to win this division. But like I said, there's more of the same. Hayden, give us your outlook.
Why are you taking my notes, bro?
What you mean? Why am I taking your notes?
Why are you stealing my notes? Liberty and Western Kentucky. Let's start off with the winner, Liberty. Last year, kaidonsalter had 2,876 yards and 32 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. Man was very, very protective over the ball. That's one thing I personally value in a quarterback a lot. And something else too with Liberty, they ranked 4th in the transfer portal of all the Conference USA. They basically are just reloading to go on another run in the Conference USA. They went 13-1 last year when I don't think anyone here had that. Last year, they exceeded expectation tremendously, and they are only going to be building on it. And then for Western Kentucky, they had the number 1 ranked transfer portal in the Conference USA. For those who do not know, I want to mention the quarterback battle as well. I've mentioned during Dante's segment. It's going to be TJ Finley to start off, but if something happens and he has a bad game, you still got a very, very, very good backup who can be a starter, and 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀 as well. And I want to mention something about this.
We got to get you some flashcards, man.
Yeah.
These names be killing you.
You can add him to the dictionary of the names. One thing about the offensive line last year for Western Kentucky, they allowed only 2.5 sacks percentage on a play. That is very, very good. So they are going to be able to protect Finley and basically be able to run the ball. They are going to be very good this year, and it's going to be fun to see what Western Kentucky can do.
Yeah. Man, again, like I said, more of the same. I don't think there's going to be any surprises.
Yeah.
So Khalid, we're gonna go ahead and get into you. Yeah, more of the same, man.
Man, no way. Yeah, I got the same 2 teams. I will say, watch out for Jacksonville State. I know it's going to be only their second or third
I know.
season. Yeah. Like, look,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Jacksonville State was. Oh, I believe they finished 3rd behind New Mexico State and Liberty this past year in the Conference USA. 3rd or 4th, like they're also right on the precipice, and they're coached by Rich Rod. He's back to the FBS level, back from his time at Arizona and Michigan, and they're very experienced. I won't get too much into Jacksonville State, but I do think that if there's a team not named Western Kentucky or Liberty who could end up playing for the Conference USA title, it's Jacksonville State. Western
Absolutely
Kentucky,
agree with you.
Yeah,
man.
like,
yes. Tulane is not.
Tulane's not in the conference.
Tulane is in the American Athletic. Yep.
Yeah. So looking at Western Kentucky, we mentioned they opened the season against Bama. Very experienced team on offense returning, only losing Malachi Corley and Austin Reed. TJ Finley stepping into a good situation. An air raid offense where offensive coordinator Drew Hollingshead, he worked under Mike Leach at both Wazoo and Mississippi State. Whenever y'all mentioned that one kid's stat line in the bowl game, putting up all those yards and touchdowns, they run an air raid offense very, very well. It's how they've gotten multiple quarterbacks drafted over the last few years. I think the one shortcoming that they have is their defense. They only returned 5 starters, and they allowed over 28 points per game this past year. But I still think they're one of the 2 best teams in this conference, which is generally pretty weak. Then going to Liberty, they returned not only kaidonsalter, but running back Quentin Cooley, who was in the 1,000-yard rusher this past year, I believe.
Yep.
And then Salter, people may have heard of him from this past year or from his time at Tennessee when he was a 4-star recruit, I believe, out of Cedar Hill, Texas. So the guy's legit. Jamie Chadwell, we've talked about him, has coached this team very, very well. He's only lost 7 games in his last 4 seasons across his time at Coastal Carolina and Liberty, with only one of them coming last year. So Chadwell is probably one of the best coaches in the group of 5, and Liberty is probably going to once again be one of the best teams in the group of 5. And honestly, I would not be shocked if we see them in the playoffs as the 5th conference champion, getting that auto bid. So
Liberty, if they do what they did last year, man, there's no reason why. I mean, they might get their ass kicked again.
Right, but I was about to say, maybe they get crushed again like they did against Oregon this past year.
But they're going to look dominant, I think.
They're going to look dominant on their way there. Again, the only other two teams who can compete with Liberty in this conference, in my mind, are WKU and Jacksonville State.
Yeah, and the fact
they do play both of them in the regular season.
They do.
So with the addition of Kennesaw State and Conference USA, there's a total of 10 teams, right? But each team only plays 8 conference games. So each team, they play everyone but one team. So unfortunately for Liberty, they did not dodge, the 2 other rivals to the Conference USA throne, but it'll be a way for them to test their mettle, because if they can beat both of them in the season and do it in dominant fashion, then I think they stand a great chance to win it again. As you can see, I have them winning it.
All right, let's see if there's an outlier.
Hey, Torque, whenever conference realignment happens, FBSschedules.com is the best one that, so you don't have to Google search everything. They lay it out nicely as it happens. So, and I love going there because it's no BS. You just go there, you click on it. They even got future schedules of when they start having those locked opponents for the next year, so you can kind of get a look at that too. So yeah, bookmark FBSschedules.com. I'm not sponsored by them. Maybe I'll reach out to them. All right. So Don has Western Kentucky and Liberty as well.
So it's gonna be excited to see his
New Mexico State.
I thought about New Mexico State. I will say that they were
with all their losing
too, but they lost too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you lose your star quarterback 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗲𝗀, I believe went to Vanderbilt, and then the running back
another guy who went from Group of 5 to Power 5.
Yeah. He landed a starting SEC gig. Granted, it's Vanderbilt.
It's Vandy, let's be honest, but still,
it is an upgrade. And even their tight end Eli Stowers, former A&M quarterback, Stowers transferred also to Vanderbilt. So New Mexico State loses a lot, and
they do.
I want to hear the explanation, because I'm sure there's a reason, but I don't have them doing too well personally. I'm 3-9.
Or if you're in the chat, we're just curious.
Yeah, the coldest Crawford, Dana, he played at Nebraska, didn't really do anything. He's one of those, I feel like he's been in college for a long, long time. Unfortunately, that kid has a cool name, but he's not really, the dude doesn't have he doesn't have the hands to play high-level football, unfortunately. The ECG outlook, of course, majority wins. Liberty and Western Kentucky. Unfortunately, we couldn't throw New Mexico State up in the piece for you.